What's up, champions? Welcome back to JetSurf Nation, your place where you test and review different jetboards and efoils, and sometimes very cool toys like self-following drones. So in this short video, we are gonna test the new self-following drone from DJI. It's called DJI NEO, and it's only 135 grams. Super small drone with a quality 4K camera, which allows you to film your activities in a self-following autonomous mode without any need for the phone or remote control. All you need to do is turn on the drone, set the mode right here, and it will go around you. And the best part is going to take off and land from the palm of your hand, just like that. Here you go. Ta-da! It comes back right back. Now, to control DJI NEO, you can use your regular phone, you can use remote control from any other DJI drone, you can even use FPV goggles, something like this, or this kind of remote control. But for me, the most interesting is obviously self-following mode, to see if it can follow me without need for any controller whatsoever. So, let's put this little guy to the tests in different conditions and see how it goes. Whew.
All right, we're starting our tests with something simple, following Mike on a one wheel in an open area with no wind and no obstacles. As you can see, the DJI NEO tracks him quite consistently. The video quality is decent. While not outstanding, it's definitely usable for vlogging, TikToks, or Instagram stories. The only complaint is that it tracks a bit too closely, even though we set the distance as far as possible in the settings. We've sped up the footage to show longer tracking, but aside from that, the flight and recording remain quite consistent. Here you can see the DJI NEO in follow mode, tracking Mike from behind. Next, we switch to tracking Eric on his bike. As you can see, even with two people in the frame, the DJI NEO consistently keeps Eric in focus and doesn't easily get confused. The DJI NEO tracks Eric consistently for a while, but then, boom, it suddenly loses focus and just hovers in place. Once we notice the issue and return, the drone regains tracking but starts behaving erratically, flying around chaotically and inconsistently. Concerned it might crash into a light pole, we decide to end the session for safety. The conclusion, one wheel and bike tracking works but lacks consistency. For the next test, we're trying DJI NEO tracking the one wheel on more challenging terrain. A wooden bridge leading to the beach. As you can see, Mike navigates the bridge towards the beach and the tracking performs well for a while. You can definitely capture some quality short clips for Instagram Reels with it. Here it even lost Mike behind the banner and then regained control. Everything went smoothly for a while, and then boom, another fail. The drone suddenly veered too far and lost tracking behind the dunes and tall grass. This was a major issue as there was no way to regain control from such a distance. The only solution was to physically climb over a fence, retrieve the drone, and manually reset it. Next, Mike headed to the beach. And as you can see, in a completely open, flat area with no obstacles, the drone behaves quite consistently. This allows for capturing some smooth, high-quality footage. For the next test, we tried tracking a car. Even older drones like the Scubajet generally perform well with car tracking, but unfortunately, this was a complete disaster for the new DJI NEO. As soon as Mike started driving, the drone quickly lost tracking, even though he was clearly visible with the windows open. Mike gave it another try, but as soon as he got into the car, the drone followed for just a few seconds before failing again and simply hovering in place. Unfortunately, this test was a total failure. For our next test, we decided to give the DJI NEO the best possible chance to perform its advertised purpose, capturing travels and adventures. According to DJI, the NEO is meant to be your perfect travel companion, easily pocketable and ready to capture memories on hiking trips. This time, there are no Onewheels. Mike is simply walking at a slow pace. Although the dogs were visibly unsettled and there were many tourists in the frame, the DJI NEO initially did a decent job of keeping Mike in focus. Unfortunately, this success was short-lived. Suddenly, the drone started shaking erratically, flew too far, and lost its tracking. Mike quickly approached it and tried to land it on his palm, but the drone ignored his attempt, veering off instead and flying into an inaccessible rocky area. It seemed like this might be the end of the drone, as Mike couldn't reach it in such an inaccessible spot. The only solution was to quickly regain control through the DJI Fly app and manually bring it back via Wi-Fi. What a disaster. For our next test, we decided to examine the obstacle avoidance feature. Although the drone lacks front sensors, we expected its advanced AI to recognize and avoid obstacles effectively using just the camera AI. As you can see, the AI performs reasonably well, avoiding bushes and regaining tracking after occasionally losing Mike. Unfortunately, this system falls short with smaller, thinner obstacles like light poles. While it narrowly avoided 2 poles, it headed straight for the third and collided. Another disaster. We also tested other recording modes like Droney, Rocket, and Circle, where the drone essentially flies up and down in a fixed location without tracking, capturing you in a stationary position. These features worked well, but we wish the drone could fly higher. Despite setting it to the maximum altitude, it barely reached 10 to 20 meters, which is far from enough to capture an epic mountain shot. And finally, the big question, can the DJI NEO handle water sports? After all, that's what Mike's channel is all about. We're aware that DJI advises against using it over water, but that's exactly the purpose we bought it for, so we decided to give it a try anyway. First, we researched Liftfoils' channel, where he tested the DJI NEO for free foiling. While he initially captured some nice footage, things took a chaotic turn once he approached a bridge. The drone lost control, crashed into the bridge, and created a panic. When you're alone on the water, balancing on a board, you can't access an app or remote to take control. It was a complete disaster. The lack of a return to home feature is a major flaw for filming over water. Instead of flying back to shore if it loses signal, the DJI NEO just hovers in place and ultimately lands in the water when the battery dies, with no way to stop it. Next, we looked at Fishaholic Boy's experience using the DJI NEO on a kayak, and the results were also disappointing. He lost tracking and had to use the app to regain control and bring it back to shore. Fortunately, with a kayak, you can carry your app and remote control with you, but it still didn't perform reliably. Next, we found Jimmy Jamfoils enjoying his wake foiling session while filming with the DJI NEO. It seemed to work fine for him, but he had the advantage of a boat full of friends equipped with phones and remote controls, making it easy to retrieve the drone if needed. This setup can hardly be considered a fully autonomous experience, as he could have achieved the same results with almost any other drone under those conditions. Finally, Mike decided to test the DJI NEO himself for efoiling. We hope to capture at least some decent footage on a calm, clear day with no wind. While the drone initially followed Mike as he entered the water, the moment he got onto the efoil, it instantly lost tracking and hovered about 10 meters above the water, ignoring all attempts to regain control. With no phone or remote control nearby, we could only watch as the DJI NEO's battery drained. Eventually, it began its slow descent into the salty water, a sad ending. Although we managed to retrieve it from the seafloor, the drone was already damaged beyond repair by the salt water.
Of course, you can argue that you can use standard DJI remote control to bring your Neo back once it's lost connection, but then again, it defeats the whole purpose of being an autonomous drone, right? And if you're buying an expensive DJI remote control, why not get a proper drone, something like DJI Avatar 2, which is much better drone all around. All in all, I had high hopes for this drone, but unfortunately it failed almost every single test. So, despite all the advances of the AI technology and tracking, it's just as useless as my old Scubajet drone. That's why I only give you 1 star out of 5. And if you're looking to record yourself, the much better solution is Insta360. This camera on a long invisible selfie stick will provide you with quality 360 footage much better than any self-following drone. That's what I'm gonna use in my water sports recordings. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, cheers, bye. Whew.